Immanuel Kant once said, "Morality is not the doctrine of how we may make ourselves happy, but how we may make ourselves worthy of happiness." This is the Producers Lounge Podcast, the best podcast online for tips and tricks on producing great film, television, and web content. Welcome back for Season 3, Episode 6, hosted and produced by GreaterAndGrander.com. On this week's episode, we're chatting with producer, editor, and Emmy Award winner Matthew Alson Thornbury, who has produced commercials and independent feature films, including his award-winning film, Blue Moon. We discuss great bosses and bad bosses, working for yourself, starting in the film industry early, and how human kindness is more important than making great art. Matt has lived an amazing life and succeeded not only because of his talent, but also through the kindness and help of caring individuals, and shows how empathy is more important than genius. This is one of our longer episodes, but it is so worth it. Feel free to start and stop the podcast at your convenience. You don't need to listen in one sit down to enjoy it. Here now is my conversation with Matthew Alson Thornbury.
How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. I don't know if you listened to any of the past episodes.
Not yet. I've been incredibly busy trying to get ahead so I can actually take some time off this year.
And I can see that's paid off by the number of Cleos in your background.
Oh, they're mostly Davies and Tellys. I have I have a piece that won an Emmy. That the person who submitted it didn't tell me they were submitting it until less than an hour before the deadline, so my name didn't get added to it. But it was a piece that I produced, directed, shot, edited. And the host was the one who did it. She did it to like 3 other people that she worked with. She texted us all at the same time and was like, "Hey, if you guys want to put your names on this, the deadline's in 45 minutes. It's like, we don't even have accounts for the Emmys. Okay. But that was the only one it won. We've got other awards, but these are the ones that like I have copies of that I didn't have to pay for.
That is always a positive.
Yeah. Yeah, like the last round that I did a mini doc that won 3 Tellys and 2 Davies, and that one, and it won some other stuff too. But my boss at the time, he bought them for me out of his own money because I'd already left.
Oh,
And it's like $900 worth of hardware, so it was nice of him to do that. So like they have a copy there, but he knew that I probably deserved to have them too.
that is really cool. That is
Yeah.
that is actually a refreshing story to hear, because so many entertainment bosses I've heard stories about were not that positive. So
Well, that's the thing. He used to work in news,
Mhm.
so he and I kind of had that like broadcast background together. But at the time, it was for the city of Louisville here in Texas. I was actually producing video for them, and I won a bunch of awards for stuff that I produced with them. And when this latest opportunity presented itself,
Mhm.
at first I wasn't going to take it because it's a remote job, which is nice, but I had a couple of offices at the other job, and it was literally 30 seconds from where I worked, and everyone was super nice at the city. But this new place offered me like 85% more.
Okay.
And I talked to him, and when I told him the number, he's like, "You need to take that. We can't match that because we're like the way that the city works is they take a look at other cities of an approximate size and the jobs, and then they just do an average. So it's kind of like, yeah, it's like there's no wiggle room. It's just, that's what is budgeted. So yeah, there's no hard feelings. And I hated leaving because everybody was super nice, and I really liked the work I did there, but I
Nice.
couldn't turn down the cash.
Fair enough. So did you grow up in you grew up in Texas, right?
Kind of.
Mhm.
I actually was born in Eastern Kentucky, but I never lived there. After like 7 days, I went to West Virginia, and I was there until 9 months. And then I went to Southern California, and I was in Pomona, Rancho Cucamonga, and Thousand Oaks in that area until right before I turned 7. And then back down, and then down to Texas because my dad was working for GTE, and they moved him to their world headquarters, which was in Las Colinas. And I lived here until I was right before I turned 14. So right as I started my sophomore year, I moved up to Indiana.
Oh, wow.
And I was up in Carmel, Indiana through high school.
Mhm.
And the year before, the summer before my senior year, I went to the New York Film Academy at UCLA. At the time, the
Mhm.
NYFA only had 3 places. It was Paris, New York, and LA. And it
Mhm.
was only for high school students, and it was either a 4 or 6-week course. So it
Mhm.
wasn't like an all year round. It wasn't, I think, even technically accredited like it is now. It was
Mhm.
just a summer course.
And
And
did you decide before then that you wanted to get into entertainment, or was that the clincher?
okay, so when I was 4, I told my parents I wanted to make movies.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. My first real memory in life was going onto the back lot of Universal. I was a huge Knight Rider fan, and my parents
Mhm.
somehow managed to get these passes where we got to see a taping of my favorite show as a kid, Knight Rider. So
Mhm.
my first moment that I remember in life really
Mhm.
is walking onto the back lot and going into a bathroom. And as I walked into the bathroom and opened the door, Jan Michael Vincent was taking a leak at the urinal. And I was like, "Oh, it's Airwolf." And that's literally my first memory in life. And then I went to the bathroom, and as I left, he drove off in like a Ferrari. So that's the first thing I remember. And then we walked towards the sound stage past
Uh-huh.
these like 3 rows of different kit cars that they had, where it's like this one you can only film from the right, this one is, only used for jumps,
Mhm.
and that was kind of breaking my brain where it's like, wait, I thought there was one kit.
Uh-huh.
And then I remember very distinctly walking into the sound stage, and they were shooting. It was the first episode of season 4, Night of the Juggernaut, where
Mhm.
Kit gets smashed up. He loses his molecular bonding shell, and he gets smashed all to hell. And I
Oof.
remember walking onto the set, and it was the set that they used for the semi truck, right?
Mhm.
And in the middle of the semi truck, which first of all, it's like, wait, this isn't a truck, this is a set.
Mhm.
And Kit was there, demolished, and I started crying.
Oh,
And
God.
Patricia McPherson, who played Bonnie, came over to me and she picked me up and she held me and she said, "Don't worry, I'm gonna make Kit all better. I'm gonna make him good. Don't worry." And I met her, and I met David Hasselhoff. I have a picture of him where he's
Mhm.
holding me and we're both giving thumbs up.
Mhm.
He signed a bunch of stuff. We still have the call sheet from that day. I have some posters that he signed. And then, like a week or 2 later, we actually got a postcard in the mail from Patricia McPherson, making sure I
Oh,
was doing
wow.
okay and telling me that Kit was all better. And that's right around the time where it's like, okay, well, I kind of want to do this. So they got me into acting. And yeah, I learned how to read by going to auditions and having to say, like, "Mom, this is Sepulveda. Like, take the exit." So yeah, I would go and I would memorize sides, and that was how I learned how to read. And I would leave class probably 4 or 5 times a week
Mhm.
to go on auditions. I booked 2 things of note. One was an episode of Superior Court. I didn't
Mhm.
have any dialogue, but I'm kind of the linchpin of it because the case is about a polygamist, and I'm the kid they had out of marriage or with the second wife. And then I booked a drunk designated driver promo for, I think, NBC or
Mhm.
CBS. I can't remember which one. That only aired on the East Coast, but it was directed by Ray Sharkey, who was on Wise Guy, and I was 6 at the time, and I
Oh.
used to watch Wise Guy with my dad. So when we got to set and we found out that Ray Sharkey was directing it, I was like, "Oh my god, I got to tell him how much I love Wise Guy." My dad said, "Don't you dare! I don't want him knowing I let my 6-year-old watch Wise Guy." Yeah. So we were doing this bit, and like, there's a bit between me and my parents, like my fake parents.
Mhm.
And at one point, I'm supposed to do a direct address to camera, and they were running a prompter.
Mhm.
But I was 5.5, 6 years old. I couldn't read the prompter that fast. And
Mhm.
they kept getting really frustrated because, there's only so much time you can have with a kid on set.
Yeah.
And I said, "Can I have a second?" And they gave me a couple of minutes, and I took the script, and I took this like 3/4 of a page, and I just memorized it.
Oh,
And
wow.
I kind of kept time. I would see like little keywords and just kind of know and faked my way through it. And I got him to autograph the call sheet on that. And then we moved to Texas. But before we moved to Texas, I
Mhm.
was offered a job. Um, it was 13 episodes on a new sitcom,
Mhm.
but we'd have to go shoot in New Mexico. And that meant I'd be away from my mom for like 6 months.
Oh.
And my parents took me out to dinner and they said, "Okay, you need to make the decision on what you want to do.
Uh-huh.
Do you want to do this or not?" And I said, "I don't want to be away from my mom." So
Mhm.
I said no. My parents kind of said, this is before he goes to college. It's
Mhm.
super in depth,
Yeah.
and we might as well spend $8,000 now as
Whoa.
opposed. Yeah, it was a lot of money
Uh-huh.
for a month.
Uh-huh.
But it's room and board and everything. Like we stayed at UCLA at Dykstra Hall,
Yeah.
like, and we worked with Aeroflex 16, and we cut on Steenbeck's, and we shot black and white reversal,
Oh, wow.
and everyone directed 3 of their own and then crewed on like at least 5 others. And I think I crewed and acted on 13 other movies. And my last movie was actually I had a completely different movie in mind. And the night before we were supposed to shoot, this TA came in and he's like, "Hey, if you guys want, we can shoot at the Paramount backlot tomorrow." And I'm like, "Yeah." So I scrapped what I had and I storyboarded out a new movie, because you only got 2 reels. So it's like, if you used every frame of it, you're looking at like 9 minutes total, right?
Uh-huh.
So I sketched out something pretty simple. It's just a drug deal gone wrong because, I was 16.
Yeah.
But it's like, well, I've got access to a New York backlot. Like, I might as well do something like that, something I know I can shoot, something that looks cool.
Mhm.
And we went the next morning and we picked a place first. Like, we ran and like kind of cemented, like put our flag in the ground. It's like, this is where we're shooting.
Yeah.
It just so happened to be the stoop where Laverne and Shirley stop at the beginning of the credits.
I think I know where that is because
Oh, yeah.
I worked on the Paramount lot, so like that's the brownstones, isn't it?
Yeah, it's right around the corner. Yeah, it's right
Ah.
around the corner. And I didn't realize at the time where I had chosen. So about every 6 minutes while we were shooting, a tour would come by and stop us. And we'd have to move out of the way while people were like, "Oh, this is Laverne and Shirley," right? You know. And then halfway through shooting, we got everything that we absolutely needed on the first reel. And the second reel, it's like, okay, let's get some extra stuff. Let's get some shots of the back lot and like just kind of we got what we need, but let's have fun. And then we started shooting, and all of a sudden my DP goes, "Hey, our motor just cranked down to like 4 frames a second." I'm like, "Well, crank it back up." Like, okay. And we shot the entire reel, not realizing that our motor had gone bad. And when we opened up the film reel to change it, it had completely spaghettied on the inside and was like jagged all the way through. And the motor was toast. So the fact that we got through the first reel with no problems is kind of amazing. But the first reel is literally all we had. So we only had like 4.5 minutes of actual footage. So the movie itself is only 3 minutes long, but it kind of doesn't need to be longer than that. But it was really intense. It was really cool. And my parents basically said $8,000 now is better than spending, 50 or more for 4 years of film school and having him realize he hates it. Because at the time I was wanting to do a double major of film and music production because my last year of high school, we had 7 classes and 5 of mine were music classes. It was like jazz improv, music tech, music theory, and I still write the music for my movies. And I think the music background is actually what helps me be as good of an editor as I can be, because I see things almost like as a staff when I'm looking at the timeline. But yeah, it kind of had the opposite effect though, where I think my dad was hoping it would kind of dissuade me from wanting to do film, and then I came back and it was like, music what? No, film. Like, that's all I want to do. And I love being at UCLA because it's it's a gorgeous campus, and Westwood is such a cool place. But while I was there, everyone was like, "No, you really need to go to USC." So I applied to USC, and somehow, because I'm not a legacy, somehow I got in.
So then we get to USC, and of course that's where we met each other.
Yeah.
For the listening audience, we met because we were both working the front desk at the Zemeckis Center, which was the big new expensive building, or at least the most new expensive building at the time.
It was the most expensive one in the country at the time. Yeah.
Oh shit, you're right. I forgot about that.
There was stuff in that building that no one else even dreamed of having.
Yeah.
Like that building was so ahead of its time. And I owe Joseph and Nick the absolute world, because do you know why I started working there?
No.
Okay, so this is actually kind of fun. So I had a year where I had I was on the dean's list. Like normally, if it wasn't a film
wow.
class, like I did okay, all right.
Mm-hmm.
But there was one year I was on the dean's list, and I had 5 classes that year, and I had earned basically scholarships for the next 2 years. Like
Mm-hmm.
everything was gonna be paid.
Mm-hmm.
But at this point, my dad had um he had been fired from his job that he had when I was in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and he quit working. And I said, "Hey, I took care of everything." This is in February before all the financial paperwork was due. And I said, "Hey, I took care of everything. I just need a copy of your tax returns." He's like, "Yeah, okay, I'll send it to you."
Mm-hmm.
A month later, "Hey, I really need those. I'll send it to you. Send it to you. Send it to you." And kept doing that. And then I went to visit my mom for the summer, and I went to do some like a couple of the only like transfer credits I could do. I needed some electives, so I figured I'll do it at North Central Texas Community College,
Mm-hmm.
which it'll cost me $110 instead of $5,000 per class.
Yeah.
And I'll get like a music theory class and a psychology class, and those will be just a couple of electives and
Mm-hmm.
good. And the whole time, my dad was like, "Oh, I'll send you the paper, send you the paper, send you the paperwork." And the day
Sounds a
before it
lot
was
like my
due,
mom.
yeah. And the day before it was due, he's like, "Yeah, I'm not sending it." We found out later is because he was hiding money from the IRS. Like, yeah. So all of a sudden, it was like, well, now I can't afford to go back to college. So I started looking for a job,
Uh-huh.
and I was offered a job, which I later, like years later, ended up taking. They had it open again, and I took it again.
Mm-hmm.
But I had accepted the job, and my mom and I bought one-way tickets out to LA so I could get all my stuff,
Mm-hmm.
including my car, because I didn't even have my car with me.
Mm.
And I would come back, and I was looking at homes. My wife and I were going to get married earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and while we were out in LA, my mom said, "Let's go to the financial aid office and we'll try one last time."
Right.
And she said, "Well, I'm a teacher and I don't see anything from my husband, and
Mm-hmm.
he's not even answering his son's calls. Can my son be considered uh, emancipated?" All right,
Mm-hmm.
not until he's 25. Like, okay. And we said, "So what can we do here?" Because he had earned scholarships. And they said, "Yeah, well, that's passed." And he said, "You can take out loans."
Whoa.
So I took out a bunch of loans, and one of them
Mm-hmm.
was tied to work study.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to work on campus, and Dax put me up for the job at the Zemeckis Center.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I started working at the Z. But the thing was, there was a cap to it. So like after I hit a certain amount,
Yeah.
that's as much as I could draw.
Mm-hmm.
But Joseph and Nick knew that I didn't have money coming in from anywhere else, and my mom couldn't afford to pay anything. My dad wasn't paying anything.
Mm-hmm.
So they decided to keep me on their payroll out of their own money
Out of their budget, not their like
for
pockets.
for a year and a half. Yeah.
Wow.
Because I tapped out how much I earned from uh, work study real quick.
Oh my God.
And it's also one of the reasons why I was there all the time.
Yeah.
because I like that's literally what I had to live on. Built into my loans was just enough to pay my rent,
Uh-huh.
like just enough. And we were living,
Man.
in the building right next to the Z on 32nd
Yeah.
Street. And for 4 people, it was like $750 a month for each person,
Right.
which yeah, that's insane, especially for 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I literally didn't have money to eat. I would go
God.
I would go to Spud Nuts. At one point, I went to Spud Nuts
Mm-hmm.
and I bought
Donut shop.
a dozen day-old donuts, and I ate
Uh-huh.
on them and water for a week.
Oh my God.
Yeah, like I would only have
No idea
lunch.
you were going through all that.
Oh yeah, I had lunch every other day.
Uh-huh.
And it was when I went to art class, and I would get a small bag of Cheetos and a small Pepsi, and that was the only time I had lunch.
Yeah.
Um, for like a semester.
Mhm.
So like literally the only reason I was able to survive was because they kept me on at like $7.50 an hour out of their
Mhm.
own budget, which they did not have to do, but it literally saved me. So like I owe those
Oh my
guys
God.
everything.
That is that's incredible. I had no idea that they were doing that. That's
Oh
awesome.
yeah.
Yeah.
But working at the Z is also the reason I don't have my bachelor's.
Wait, what?
Okay. I have 125 out of 128 units.
Uh-huh.
I need Japanese 3. Okay.
Oh, that's right.
Right.
Yeah.
So here, what happened there was my last year, I was working at the Z so much I wasn't sleeping. Like I'd work
Uh-huh.
Friday night and I'd wait till Trojan Vision got back, which is usually like 1, 2 in the morning.
Yeah.
And then I have to be back by 7.
Yeah.
And I'd work until 5 or 6 and then come back on Sunday and close and still not get out until like 1 or 2 in the morning.
Mhm.
And I had Japanese every day at 8 a.m.
Oof.
And I hadn't taken it in 3 years because I took it my first year, took
Mhm.
Japanese 1, then Japanese 2, and then I'm like, I can't make it work with my schedule, so I took
Yeah.
the semester off, and then that turned into having to push it off to my last semester. And I barely made it into class. And when I did, I was so tired. I was getting like an hour and a half, 2 hours of sleep a night for
Mhm.
like the whole semester. And I
Yeah.
couldn't, like, I was barely awake. Halfway through the semester, I talked to my professor. Uh, she was a really nice Japanese woman, but had no, um, she
Empathy?
didn't, she had no empathy at all. And she said, "Oh, you have to stop working." It's like, well, I can't because that's literally how I live. And she goes,
Wait,
"Then
what?
stop."
Oh
Oh yeah.
my god.
And then she said, "Stop sleeping."
This is so stereotypical USC,
It is.
like, "Oh, you can't come to my class? Just stop sleeping and stop working." That's ridiculous.
Right.
Like,
Oh yeah. So then the class, like, let's say you had 100% going into the final,
yeah.
right? And you got a 59 on the final.
Yeah.
You failed the entire class.
Oh my god.
I got a 58 on the final.
Ugh.
My written portion was fine. It
Uh-huh.
was the spoken part because at that point, again, I was so tired.
Yeah.
I couldn't process anything.
Mhm.
And yeah, I'd been working so much that by the time I went into the final, like I couldn't understand. Got a 58 on the final
Uh-huh.
and failed the class. And at this point, it was late December of 2004. I was
Uh-huh.
supposed to walk in 2005.
Yeah.
And I went to visit my mom for Christmas
Uh-huh.
and didn't have the results from the final back. All I knew is that, I was supposed to be done and I was getting married in May and I needed a job.
Uh-huh.
And I got a call from Dax and he said, "Hey, I'm starting a new show called Strip Search for VH1. And we need some people. Do you want to be on it? Let's start out as a PA, but I'm sure you'll move up fast." And I said, "Sure." So I took the job and then like a week later found out that I hadn't passed the class, but it's like, well, I can't take it next semester because I'm already working and getting married.
Mhm.
So I put it off and I said, "Hey, I need to put this off until, the spring, the fall at least."
Mhm.
And I didn't walk. They said, "Oh, you can still walk." And it's like, that doesn't feel right. I'll walk once I
Yeah.
earn it.
Mhm.
And by the time that other job ended, I had been offered more
Mhm.
and it just kept going that way. And by that point, I was completely on my own.
Uh-huh.
And it was 5,000 for the class. And it was only offered Monday through Friday at 8 a.m. And I can't hold a job doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. So I can pull up my stars report right now. I do it every couple of months just to make sure my info's still in there. But one of the problems is, um, you know, I was cinema, television, critical
Mhm.
studies, and now it's not even cinema, television anymore. It's the
Yeah,
cinematic
it's
arts.
School of Cinematic Arts, yeah. Yeah.
Right. And the requirements are completely different.
Yeah.
So, now
Jesus.
they have a music video course. I probably would have done that if I could.
That does sound fun. Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know if I'll ever actually get the degree, but
Yeah.
it's never really hampered anything because when people say, "Do you have a bachelor's?" Like when you have to fill out things, bachelor's degree
Yeah.
or some college, I always put bachelor's and then I say I'm one class shy. That's all. Like I let
Yeah.
everyone know I am one class shy. I don't have the degree, and they're like, "What class?" I say Japanese 3, and then they just kind of laugh.
Yeah.
You know, I've needed to use Japanese once. The funny thing is, we didn't have to take as film students. We didn't have to take any math.
That's right, we didn't.
Now
Oh my
ask me what I
god.
use every day, all the time: math or Japanese. You know how many times I've had to sit down and go, "Okay, so I have this is my frame rate, and I've
Uh-huh.
got this much card space, and I'm shooting at this resolution, and I'm doing this many frames per second for like a time lapse." And then someone
Uh-huh.
says, "Oh, this event isn't going to take 90 minutes. It's going to take 2.5 hours." And I got to sit down, take out a pen and pencil, and like cross multiply and divide. I do
Yeah,
math all the time.
and that just looking back, that boggles me too, especially since we went to film school when it was still the era of film, when you had to calculate that manually.
No math. No math.
Okay, so
Dumbest thing.
yeah, yeah. I had a very similar situation to you because, like, I don't know if you remember, I transferred into USC from Chapman.
Yeah.
So I had, taken a bunch of classes at Chapman that would have counted for the core curriculum requirements for the university. And I got in, and USC looked at it and was like, nope, it's not good enough. We're counting everything from your previous school as electives. And
Yep. So here's what happened. 2000 rolled around, and I was applying to colleges, and I applied to a bunch of UC schools. Applied to 5 UC schools, USC, and then my parents said,
Yeah.
you have to apply to one that's not in California. And I said, okay, I'll go to Grand Valley State, Michigan, because that's where Robin Sterling went. And, he's a great writer. So they got to do something right there.
Yeah.
I got accepted there within a week. And it took so long to hear back from USC that we actually accepted it, put down a deposit and everything. But, we didn't get anything in person. We did it online. And this was still very early in the internet. And one day after school, I was at a Burger King and I got a call from my mom, and it was like 4 p.m. And she said, hey, turns out there was a requirement that USC has, and they didn't put it online. And it is due in their hands tomorrow, a physical copy. You have to write, and it was a review of a movie. And it's like a 2-page review of a film. I'm like, or a critical analysis of a film, I should say. Critical analysis of a film. And I was like, okay. So I ran home, wrote the 2 pages, did not proofread it, printed it out, and as we got to the UPS store, we walked in literally right behind the guy picking it up. And we were like, you need to stay right here until we can get this certified to give it to you. Because if we had missed him, I wouldn't have gone to USC.
Yeah.
So I did a critical analysis of E.T. and how, even though it's a far-fetched fantasy sci-fi movie, there are aspects of it that are so grounded, it helps you believe the fantasy, right? And how it's really about family and turmoil. And that was the one that Casper read. I'll come back to that in a second.
Okay.
So then we got a call from them a couple weeks later saying they hadn't received my my transcript. And we went into the high school, and my counselor said, oh, well, I forgot. I'll send it out. Don't worry. And they're like, no, they have to have it today, end of day, like within like 40 minutes. Yeah. Like, don't worry, I'll send it out. And my mom stood there and she said, you're going to fax it over, and we are not leaving until we get the confirmation. Okay. So we get everything turned in, which was a hassle. And then didn't hear anything until like mid-May. Mid-May, I get 5 denials from UC schools because being an out-of-state student at the UC school system, damn near impossible. 5 rejection letters, and then literally the last one was USC that says you're in. Got it, but then found out I got into the cinema school. The cinema school accepted me first, and we didn't find out that I was accepted to the actual school for another week.
Oof.
So we had to call them and say, hey, am I going here or not? And everyone was really confused because apparently, again, the almost 3.9 grade point average, not good enough. And the cinema school wanted me badly enough, they forced me through. So
nice.
As we can make fun of Casper all day because he is a crazy human being, but I owe my being at USC to him.
We just spent a bunch of time ragging on USC, and we could literally do for the entire day.
I'm not ragging on them, like, it is what it is. They're running a large institution. It's not free. You got to pay. It is what it is.
The thing is, like I want to kind of talk about, like, okay, what did we actually get out of USC that was positive? Because and I have some stories, but I'm due to do your podcast sometime soon, so those might be a better stories for that venue.
Well, I've thought about it a lot because I started as I was a critical studies student, and I don't know if it's this way now, but back then it was really looked down on. Although
Mm.
at the time, the most successful filmmaker to come out of USC within the previous few years of us being there was
Mhm.
probably Bryan Singer, you know?
Mhm. Yeah.
And he was a critical studies student, and I was in, there was he spoke at a class
Mhm.
of graduate students where they were giving him crap for it. And they're like, how'd you know how to make a movie from being in critical studies? And it's like,
I think I was
well, I
in
mean,
that session, yeah.
okay, yeah. And it's like, well, critical studies, like you learn what makes a movie good,
Mhm.
you know? And he said you can learn how to use the equipment anywhere. And I had some friends that were in production, and when they were doing their 310 films,
Mhm.
I was on set for one of them. And I had to teach them how to use the equipment because it was the same equipment we used at the NYFA,
Mm.
you know?
Yeah.
And when they replaced remember at the Zemeckis Center, they had 2 editing labs, and one of them at one point was all Final Cut Pro, and then they got rid of all the Macs and put Avid in there. And at that point, I had already I had my own machines to edit on.
Mhm.
So I did all my editing at home. I
Mhm.
did all my own editing. I did all my own effects.
Yeah.
And I wonder, like, we we entered the business and USC at a really weird time,
Yes.
because I don't know if Peter Panpush gave you the same talk he gave us, but basically he said, like, "Hey guys, you got in here, you're done. Like your career is set. Like everyone who comes here
Mhm.
works. Everyone's pretty successful. You're good. You made it this far. Like that's the hurdle."
Mhm.
And then everything changed. I mean, everything.
Mhm.
When we started, there was one coloring suite, and it was at the Z.
Mhm.
There was one suite for doing titles at the Z.
Mhm. Mhm.
And when in 2001, there was Final Cut 1, which most people didn't have,
Mhm.
and then there was Premiere, which was really rudimentary.
Mhm.
And then you had Avid, and Avid at the time was a turnkey system,
Yeah.
and those things cost 150 grand.
Mhm.
2 years later,
Mhm.
Final Cut released Final Cut HD,
Mhm.
which cut HD,
Mhm.
had three-way color corrector.
Mhm.
Then you had live type, you had motion,
Mhm.
and everything changed overnight.
Yeah.
And it felt like by the time we got out of college and we were ready to work, everyone was so discombobulated because it went from Avid being the standard to now it was like, hey, we're starting up a boutique and we've got a bunch of Final Cut
Mhm.
stations.
Yeah. Yeah.
And hey, now we can make our own DVDs. DVD Studio Pro?
Mhm. Mhm.
And they were basically, it seemed like the old guard was kind of like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Mhm.
hold up, hold up.
Mhm.
And people our age went to either new boutique places or reality TV. And then the writer's strike happened. And everybody was out of work for like 6 months to a year.
Except the reality TV people.
And people who got into reality TV have basically been in reality TV.
Mhm. Yeah.
And I want to ask you a question because I've asked most of my other friends from SC this.
Yeah.
How many people do you know from SC that have directed a studio feature?
Oof.
Not an indie that's gotten picked up.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Let's see. I can't think of a single name. You're
How
right.
many have won an Oscar? It's been
Uh,
20
not
years. People about 5 years ahead of us and 5 years before us. There's like maybe a 7, 8 year bubble.
uh,
And I hate to sound like a whiny millennial, but it feels like we kind of got left behind because once things
yeah.
started to get, let's not forget,
Mhm.
right around the time that all the post workflow was changing,
Yeah.
you also had HD cinema come in,
Yeah. Yeah.
right?
Which
And
everybody
everything
fought at the
changed,
time. Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
And everything changed so fast
Mhm.
that it felt like by the time everyone was willing to say, okay, let's let things flow again,
Mhm.
we were like, well, now they're too old and too expensive.
Mhm.
Like, I started editing independent features while I was still in college, you know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I was working on this documentary about Stan Lee I started out as the visual effects supervisor.
Mm-hmm.
And we had on once a guy who worked as an assistant editor for Michael Kahn.
Mm-hmm.
And he was in the guild, and I talked to him. I was like, hey, I've been editing forever. It's kind of what I'm good at. You think I can get in with you guys in some capacity at some point? And he's like, well, how much have you edited? And I said, well, I've done 3 at the time. It was like 4. No, I've done 5 features. You know, they're all low budget, but like most of them have like gone to like Hollywood Video and Blockbuster and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And he's like, oh, well, you're not getting in. Like, why? He goes, because we want someone who's been an assistant editor, not someone who's an editor who's working as an assistant editor, because he's going to have too much to say about the editing, and that's not what we want.
Mm.
And I'm like, and he goes, how much have you worked as an assistant editor? I said, none. And he was like, sorry.
Yeah.
Fuck.
Yeah. And I had something similar. Like, people kept thinking I was going to try and be too big for my britches, and the USC label didn't help that, because a lot of USC people are very entitled because of that speech that Peter Pampush gave, or other people like him.
Yeah, let's not take it, like, let's not dog on him, because like he was great.
Yeah.
He was very understanding with me, but at the time he was right, you know, because at the time it's like there was an Oscar winner from USC every single year. And the fact that everyone I went to school with,
Mm-hmm.
the most successful people I know, are not editing, directing,
Mm-hmm.
producing necessarily. You know, they're in other aspects of it. And it's like, well, something went wrong here. Like we kind of screwed up the run. And I don't think it's for any fault of ours. You know?
No. And also, I don't think certainly nobody foresaw like
No.
YouTube and digital streaming. But God, if I could, like, what I absolutely regret most was USC pushed this idea of like, go big or go home. You know, you do a
Yes.
big $4 million feature, get into the studio system, etc. Wherein
Well, that's how it
reality,
was.
it was. And then when the YouTube started and then digital streaming followed, it turned into, you know what, just make stuff and say, kind of the argument is, hey, I've made X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
I can either make the same genre or a bigger scale, or the same scale and a different genre.
Right.
Yeah.
Now, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Because, you know, everything is
Mm-hmm.
social media based now.
Yeah.
And can we swear on here?
Oh yeah, you can say whatever
Okay.
the fuck you want. Yeah.
How much of an asshole do you feel for having gotten good at what you do, just to see people making millions of dollars off of TikToks that are shot on a phone? They're blurry, and like there's text that's like poorly written, and like there's misspellings everywhere, like over people's faces. Like if I had turned in any of that crap in college, like it would have been like, people would say like, wait, what are you doing here?
Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
feel like such an asshole where I'm like it's like, no, I've gotten good at what I do. Like why doesn't this matter anymore? Like,
Yeah. It's a shame, because now we are competing with, and I see this in media and in big streaming platforms, but I also see it on like Fiverr and stuff. We're competing with somebody who can download all the software for free and then just make something and throw it up online. And maybe they spent, you know, I don't know, maybe a week putting together a half-hour short or what have you. It's crazy.
and don't even get me started on AI coming into this like that.
Oh God.
That's gonna spell that spells the end.
Yeah.
Oh, this it really does.
Yeah. And not face Netflix is offering like a $100 million prize to the first person who can generate a full feature using only AI software. That's pretty blatantly like just pirate kind of behavior. Yeah.
It really feels like
Mhm.
you know, the tech broification of this industry
Yeah.
was a real bad idea. It was a real bad idea. And
Mhm.
I kind of knew, like when I read that was Amazon was tearing down the old Selznick Studios, you
Oh
know,
my God.
and
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, what are we doing here? Like one of the things about Hollywood that was great was its history, and now we're just bulldozing it. You know, like, I visited LA for the first time in a long time last summer, and we weren't there long, but I took the kids. I'm like, I'm going to drive you around all the places I used to go.
Mhm.
And I got so depressed,
Yeah.
so incredibly depressed because like the soul felt like it was sucked out of the city. I went to USC and it was like somehow they gentrified USC. I don't know how that happened, but they gentrified USC. There's a Target there. And it's like, well, it would have been nice to have a Target when I was in college. Like there's something about like the dankness of the UV that gave it some personality,
Yeah.
Like
And
you
for those
need
who weren't there was a place called University Village, and there
yeah.
was a little theater. There was this cool little food court with like mom and pop businesses, this
Yeah.
Mexican market that always smelled bad. That
Terrible.
yes,
Terrible.
but it was great. It had charm.
You
Like
need
the
the
most,
rough edges to
yeah.
make you interesting, And
Mhm.
like that's all gone. Like the Century
Yeah.
apartments are gone.
Mhm.
And you know, and then I drove up to, Sunset in Hollywood, and
Mhm.
it's like, oh well, the Cinerama Dome and the ArcLight, they're
Uh,
closed, and
I
that was my
drive by
favorite.
there almost every day. Yeah, it's just heartbreaking to see them boarded
It
up.
really is.
Yeah.
And they say, oh, we're gonna open up in 2024. Then it's 2025. It's like, just say you're not.
Yeah.
Just say you're not, because it's not
Mhm.
gonna happen at this point.
Yeah.
Um, and it just feels like we've lost so much. And what upsets me the most, and this is old man yelling at cloud stuff, is that it seems like
Mhm.
a lot of the younger people going into film don't care about that. They care about the views, they care about the prestige, but they don't care
Mhm.
about the history. Like,
Yeah.
when we were in school, every film student, first of all, nerd. Like, there are no cool film students,
Yeah.
right? And if they were, they weren't any good. But they all had one thing in common, that was like film posters on their walls. Everybody had like film stuff, right?
Yeah.
And I was showing the girls, I was trying to show them around the school before we went, and I was on YouTube. I'm like, oh, well, here are a bunch of videos, or like the day in the life of a film school student. And all the videos on YouTube were like these people, and it's like, we're gonna go work out. Now we're hanging out with our boys. And like they're playing video games. There's no movie stuff anywhere. And out of like a
Mhm.
20-minute video, 15 seconds is them sitting in the back of a class for film on their laptop. And it's like, no, no, no.
Mhm.
Like we're losing we're losing the beauty of what this was. And like I get it. It was a young art form. It's gonna
Yeah.
change, but like it feels like it really feels like, especially like my kids are 12 and 14.
Yeah.
And they've even said that most people their age don't care about movies,
Ugh,
which
yeah.
just is heartbreaking.
Mhm. I mean, Kevin Spacey did this like speech back in the day about how like movies are now competing against not just television, but all forms of entertainment, including football, sports, nightclubs, etc. And also now they're competing against TikTok. Why spend $20, $40 to go out and see a movie when you can just sit at home and endlessly scroll through
Right.
entertaining 90-second videos? It's
And
unfortunate.
my first day in Malton's class, in Leonard Malton's class.
Mhm.
You
The
ever take
Leonard
that one?
Maltin. No,
The
no.
Leonard Malton.
Yeah.
It was the very last class I ever had at USC.
Yeah.
It was my last semester and literally the last class I took. And the last
Mhm.
class I had on my last day,
Mhm.
he brought in Sidney Poitier, and we watched To Sir with Love. But that's a great way to end up with USC. That's a great way to end.
Yeah.
But our first day, he was complaining about film criticism, and he said, you know, a newspaper won't send someone to cover a football game that doesn't know everything about football and everything about the team they're watching,
Mhm.
but they will send anybody to review
Mhm.
a movie.
Yeah.
And he said that 20 years ago,
Mhm.
20 years ago. And now you look at Twitter and
Mhm.
YouTube and TikTok and what passes as film criticism.
Mhm.
And we've, as a society, we've kind of lost our ability to understand media properly.
Yeah.
And I'd love to, because, he and I, like, I'd go up and we'd talk after the class for a bit. And I'd
Mhm.
love to talk with him now
Mhm.
about how he sees the state of things, because it's bleak.
Yeah, yeah, and I don't even think it's like you say this is old man yelling at clouds. I don't think it's old man yelling at clouds because like one of my I love quotes. One of my favorite quotes is Isaac Newton's, "I was able to see so far because I stood on the shoulders of giants." And if you're making TikToks, if you're making short films, there is a way to do that as just throwing chaos against the wall and seeing what sticks.
Yes.
And also there's a way of like seeing what came before you in media, whether it's previous TikToks or the actuals of the 1890s that originally defined film.
Mhm.
And there's a way to look at that and bring that forward in a unique and clever way that brands your own identity onto it by kind of mixing the historical and the now.
Right. Or,
You know, yeah.
or I can go on to the street,
Mm-hmm.
have someone film me with an iPhone, and then hold up a lav mic to someone I'm like interrupting and say, "What's your body count?" and then get like a million views. Like,
Yeah.
that's the alternative.
Or some idiot like Steven Crowder who, I mean, I'm sorry, I know he's a Texan, but like that guy's a fucking asshole.
I don't care. I'm not a Texan. I live here. I don't really consider myself anything. I'm not from anywhere,
Okay.
you know. But yeah, it's.
Mhm.
But like, what to go back to what you asked 30 minutes ago before I derailed everything. What I got out of it, there was one class specifically, and
Mhm.
that made the entire thing worthwhile to me,
Mhm.
and that was my 290 241 class.
Yeah.
Because for everyone who's not doing the inside baseball here,
Mhm.
290 241, it was basically one class. They called it two, but it was each one. It was something that every student had to go through if you were in film, and you had two teachers, two professors,
Mhm.
and it was a luck of the draw who you got.
Mhm.
I happened to get with my roommate Micah,
Mhm.
which was really helpful.
Mhm.
We happened to get Oscar and Billy.
Mhm.
So William Fraker and Oscar Williams.
Mhm.
Probably the most coveted class for 29241 because
Mhm.
Billy Fraker was the director of photography on little movies like Rosemary's Baby, Bullet, Tombstone, Close Encounters of the
Mhm.
Third Kind.
Mhm.
Oh, just tiny little things. He invented trombone lighting, you know.
Mhm.
Uh, he worked for Conrad Hall when he was starting out.
Mhm.
Um, and I learned more from those guys.
Yeah.
And Billy was he was a mentor, but Oscar became a mentor and a friend
Mhm.
who actually, before he died, he saw my movie. And he actually, when I was doing my feature Blue Moon, we were shut down during COVID.
Mhm.
And he contacted me. I hadn't heard from him in a few years, and he contacted me out of the blue. And he said,
Mhm.
"Matt, what are you doing? You're not making a movie. You need to make a movie." And I said, "Well, actually, Billy, it's actually Oscar. It's funny that you mentioned that because I'm working on one."
Mhm.
And I sent him the script, and he goes, "Love it, but you need to change the ending. You got to do this at the end." And he gave me an ending that was so much superior than what I had, and it was a tiny change,
Mhm.
a very tiny change, but changed the whole meaning of the movie. And I rewrote it, and we shot it that way, and it was great. And I sent it to him before it was out,
Mhm.
and he said, "Great movie. You must have had a great teacher."
Nice.
Yeah, but though, like, he taught me something about directing that every time I work with actors, I think about, and he goes, "Don't tell someone what to do.
Mhm.
You have people in a scene, you give one person a goal and say, 'This is what you need to accomplish.'
Mhm.
Talk to the other person and you say, 'This is what you need to accomplish,' and give them contrasting goals." So if you have a
Mhm.
person trying to like an interrogation scene,
Mhm.
it's like, do not let this person lie to you.
Mhm.
You need to get the information out of them at all costs. And you tell the other person, no matter what this person does or says, you're not giving anything up.
Mhm.
You don't say act afraid or act stoic.
Yeah.
You let the actors do that. And giving them a goal,
Mhm.
like literally every time I've worked with an actor, I keep that in mind.
Mhm.
But those guys, just their wealth of knowledge,
Mhm.
how fun they were, and the atmosphere we had in that class.
Yeah.
And I met some lifelong friends thanks to that class.
Mhm.
One of the people in that class, Monica
Mhm.
Soto, she just won, I think a year or two ago, she won an Emmy for her
Wow.
art design, her production design work on Drunk History. So bravo to her.
Nice.
and Casey Kane was in that class. She's now head of post-production at Marvel.
Wow.
Yeah, so she's doing okay.
Mhm.
But I met one of my best friends, Dax. My friend Sam was in the class, and since Micah, my roommate, was in the class, we were able to get the same camera, and I requested a specific camera they only had 2 of, because I knew it was technically better than the bigger cameras. The PDX-10 had a higher gross pixel count and actually shot native anamorphic and not cropped, and it fit on my my stabilizer that I had. And because of that, we were able to keep the camera for 2 weeks instead of having to send it off to another person for a week. So, we were able to keep it in-house and shoot a little bit longer, which was nice. That class was a huge benefit, but honestly, working at the Z and meeting everybody there and getting to see, like, having to make dupes of every single
Oh.
thing. And you got to see every student film and see, okay, here's like what I shouldn't do.
Yeah.
Here's what everyone's doing. Here's what works. Here's what doesn't work. Or, hey, Henry Winkler's in this one. Oh, that's right. His kid goes here. Cool.
Eventually, you left USC,
Yes.
and you mentioned 4 features that you had edited. I assume those are 30,000 Leagues Under the Sea, Alien versus Hunter, Monster, and Doomsday and Alan Quartermain, or?
No. So, okay.
Mhm.
So when I was at USC, actually, after my first semester, that summer, my friends and I, we made one of our own. So I directed and edited a feature that my friends starred and helped in. Then, right after that, I edited a feature for a woman named Diana Chinoni, and she had a film called Crutch that we worked on for years because she would shoot a bit, we'd edit it, then sorry about that. So we'd edit, and then she'd shoot some more, and then it was an organic process for her. So by the time I left college, I had 2 features, and then I went to the about a year later, I went to the I was working for the asylum, and I did. They hired me because their editor for 30,000 Leagues Under the Sea quit. And they said, okay, we have a drive with 24 captured tapes. There's 24 hours of footage on here. We have a PDF of the script, but they don't really go by the script. So try to make it make sense. Where it doesn't make sense, write in some ADR that we can put in, from over the shoulder stuff. And then we need temp music, temp effects, and titles. And we need it in 48 hours.
Whoa.
Yeah. But luckily, I'm a fast editor. So I did it. And they said, hey, we really like the dialogue you wrote. Do you want to write for us too? So, yeah, sure. So I got a call saying, hey, we're doing Alien versus Hunter. That's the title. And we want you to write it. Do you have time? They said, do you have time to write it this weekend? And I said, well, actually, I'm going to be in San Diego because we're premiering the first 20 minutes from the Stan Lee doc at San Diego Comic-Con. So I can't do it this weekend. And he's like, oh, I got to have it by the weekend. And they said, okay, how about this? I'll write while you send over an outline. So I'm like, okay. So I started outlining it. And the person who physically wrote the script was writing faster than I could write the outline. It was crazy. So I'd send something over. He's like, I'm past it. And then I edited that. And that was only supposed to take 3 weeks. And that turned into an ordeal because the director was behaving erratically. And he wasn't really like, he would tell me, hey, meet me at my shop and we'll edit on the weekend. And I get there and he'd be 3 hours late. And I call him and say, where are you? He's like, I'm at my shop. Where are you? I'm like, you're not at your shop because I'm sitting in your seat. And it got physical at one point and we had to be pulled apart. And then he got banned from their facility and he died the next year from a brain tumor. So we're guessing that his behavior was due to that.
Yeah.
But that process ended up taking like almost 3 months instead of 3 weeks. And then, so I edited Monster and then I wrote, Alan Quartermain in the Temple of the Skulls was originally supposed to be just an adaptation of King Solomon's Mines.
Mm-hmm.
So I did an outline, like 3 outlines and 4 beat sheets and 4 full drafts
Mm-hmm.
of this thing. And I don't think anything I wrote ended up in the final picture, but I still have writing credit on it, which is kind of bonkers. So yeah, but that was all before I was like 24.
And what were some of the, because Asylum is rather infamous, more infamous than even Roger Corman stuff. Like, what would you say are some of the biggest lessons you learned from working for them? What not
A
to do
lot.
and what to do? Yeah.
Honestly, for them, it's all what to do because,
Mm.
we can laugh at, the quote unquote quality of their movies, but like everyone knows Sharknado. Everyone's heard of Transmorphers. They're making a product that there is a want for it. There
Mhm.
is an audience, and the audience loves it. And one thing I learned from them, don't title anything past the letter L, because when people are scrolling, they don't scroll that far. So that's why in 2012, they put like 2012 before all their titles.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, they have a lot of A's
Uh-huh.
because it comes up first. And it's really smart. It's really smart.
Uh-huh.
Um, Also, have a killer poster and get a name in there that people want to see,
Mm-hmm.
and make it cheap. And you don't have to spend a crazy amount of time and money
Mm-hmm.
getting something that people will watch.
Mm-hmm.
Now, does that mean they're going to win an Oscar? No,
Mm-hmm.
but they were also producing like 6 movies a year, and they're
Yeah.
getting them out. And like I said, for a young person working, I didn't make any money, really. Like it,
Mm-hmm.
it was enough, but they were super nice. They were super nice to everyone who worked for them.
Mm-hmm.
When my daughter was diagnosed with epilepsy after having a severe grand mal seizure in the middle of class out of nowhere earlier
Oh
this
my
year.
God. I'm sorry.
And oh, thank you. And I posted on Twitter, hey, if anyone wants to help out, watch my movie on Tubi. It doesn't cost you a thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, it'll go to paying stuff off. And because, we got a couple of big medical bills out of nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And David Latt, one of the owners of the asylum, said, hey guys, an asylum family member is in need. Let's help them out. They are super nice. They donate to a ton of charities. They know exactly what they make. So
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like, sorry, it's kind of like when you hear a commentary with Michael Bay,
Mm-hmm.
and he says, I make movies for 12-year-old boys. There is a certain amount
Mm-hmm.
of self-awareness
Mm-hmm.
that most people don't have. And at the asylum, they know exactly what they're making. And there's nothing wrong with that. It's like, it's kind of nice that they're not trying to zhuzh up, what they're doing, where it's like, we're making a mummy, like we're making a boutique mummy movie. It's like, you're making the mummy, you're making the Wolfman. Let's call it what it is. Right.
Yeah.
But yeah, what I learned from them is that, push comes to shove, you can do full sound on a movie in 3 days. You can. Should you? Maybe not, right? But if you absolutely have to,
Mm-hmm.
you can. And if you are just nice to people,
Mm-hmm.
you'll get their best out of them, even if you can't afford to pay them more.
Mm-hmm.
Like I loved my time at the asylum. I would actually love to still work with them, honestly.
Whoa.
Yeah, like I love the guys. They are great.
Mm-hmm.
I stopped working with them because first of all, I was young
Mm-hmm.
and my attitude really needed to be in check. And I'll be honest with you.
Mm-hmm.
Um, when I stopped working for them, I had also just moved here to Texas,
Yeah.
and my attitude was just in a bad place.
Mm-hmm.
And a few years later, I emailed Lat and I said, hey man, I don't know if it's just me getting older or the fact that, I run my own sets now and I know how you have to depend on people.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, but my behavior, wasn't always right and it wasn't cool. And I'm really sorry.
Mm-hmm.
And, I hope there's no ill will. And he responded saying, I'm really glad you sent this. I've hoped for a while that you would.
Mm-hmm.
And we're really cool now. And he had love. I got a text from him after he saw my movie, I hadn't gotten a text from him in, a decade.
Mm.
Like we talked online, but not like through text. It's a little more personal when it's on your phone as opposed to like, a DM or something.
Yeah.
And he said that it was a great movie and he loved my acting and it was incredibly sweet. And you know what? Yeah, I would love to go shoot something for them. Like just,
Mhm.
I would love to do that because the idea of getting in, doing something fun in a couple of weeks and not dedicating your whole couple of years and your whole life to it sounds refreshing, and if I lived there, I'd probably pursue it a little bit harder, you know?
Yeah.
Like the guys are great and it's a shame that I couldn't have been there during the Sharknado time,
Mhm.
but uh, you know, um, I've actually made some friends because of Alien versus Hunter. There were when that movie came out, it got ravaged, like
Yeah.
deservedly so, but it got ravaged. And there was one critic who really tore it apart, and I contacted him. I'm like, "Hey, man, your review is hilarious, but like when you say that the editor doesn't know what they're doing, like just take a look at my other stuff." And he did, and he printed a retraction about that. He's like, "Hey, this guy knows what he's doing. It's not his fault. If anything, he helped save the movie."
Yeah.
Um,
It's
so, and he's been a friend since. Yeah.
that sounds remarkably like step 5 of the 12 steps of like admitting wrongs to yourself and others. How did Blue Moon come about?
Well, like I said, it's the mostly true tale. Um,
Mhm.
it's based on mostly what really happened when I had to deal with the death of my dad. I
Mhm.
was living in Texas. He and I hadn't spoken for 5 years.
Mm.
I did a shoot one morning. It was a Friday morning. Got home a little early. Uh, got some lunch, passed out, and woke up to a bunch of missed messages on my phone. And
Mm.
like the second I saw they were from family, I'm like, "Oh, my dad died." Like I just knew.
Mm.
Um, by the time I was able to get a hold of my sister because she was at work,
Mhm.
it was after 6,
Mhm.
and they said, "We need to release the body, but we can't do that unless you're here or unless you sign and get something notarized and send it to us." And by the time that would happen, we could have just driven up there. So we just drove up there.
Right.
And things were so weird on the trip
Mm.
that I actually had to cut some stuff out. Like I cut my sister out of the movie because it's not
Mhm.
her story, you know.
Yeah.
But like there's a scene that I cut. There's a scene that I cut that we actually shot where on the way up we were driving and we saw this biplane
Mhm.
right past the tree line. Like there's a tree line on the right side in Arkansas, and it did a nosedive right to the ground and never came back up. And we called it in. We're like, we think a plane might have crashed because
Oh,
like it
fuck.
didn't come up.
Yeah.
Um, whether it did or not, I don't know. But we had to call it in.
Mhm.
And that's how it started. And things just went weird. Like we got there and um they said his body was at the coroner. It wasn't really a coroner, it was just a different um uh it was a different funeral home than the one he ended up at.
It
And
was
he
like
was
was it like one of those rural places where like they kinda wear
this is
multiple hats?
it's rural Eastern Kentucky,
Huh.
right? So whether or not they had an actual coroner, I don't know, but they were just the
Mhm.
ones who took possession of the body,
Mhm.
and they had him in the movie. It's in a basement.
Mhm.
It was in their basement,
Mhm.
but it didn't look like that. In reality, it was the showroom for all their caskets. So it was brightly lit, and they had all these caskets, and he was in a bag in the corner for several days, unrefrigerated.
Oh my god.
Yeah, and he was found dead in a hotel room. We went there, and it was run by these 2 brothers,
Mhm.
one of which had a bowline tie and what looked to be a hairpiece and just had a real kinda weird vibe, like, "This is my brother Daryl, this is my other brother Daryl," kinda thing.
Mhm.
And his brother had Art Garfunkel hair, and he was wearing a Canadian tuxedo,
Mhm.
no belt. And when I came back a year later,
Mhm.
I saw them again, and they were wearing the exact same clothes. The place is weird.
Mm.
Um, God bless them though, because they let us shoot there for nothing. They just said I needed to change
Nice.
the sign, which I did.
Mhm.
Um, but basically, this happened to me, and I couldn't get it out of my head, and something said, You should make this." And I made it not
Mhm.
expecting anyone to see it or to make any money off of it. I thought at worst, it would be um, a way for me to get something of my own out there. Because even though I've cut, I think, 8 or 9 features at this point, Um, more shorts than I can count, over 150 music videos, and I've directed and produced TV and all sorts of stuff. I hadn't directed a feature of my own since I was 18. And, this is kind of a way for me to say I could do it. Now someone please give me money so I don't have to do my own. But it's a way of getting something out there that's 100% mine without having to change anything for anybody. And my whole goal for it was I want to be able to show anybody the movie and not have to say, well, don't mind this because we only had blank, or don't mind this because, don't forget we only made it for, not counting the computers that were involved because one caught on fire.
Yikes.
Yeah. One literally caught on fire. Like a month before it was done, it caught on fire in my living room.
Oh, wow.
And because of that, I had to upgrade the computer. And when I upgraded the computer, none of the plugins, the old plugins, worked on the new machine. And I ended up having to recolor my entire movie. But like I didn't want to say, hey, we only made it for, $13,000 minus the computers. Like, please forgive this. I wanted to be able to show it to someone and say, this is a low budget movie and just go,
Yeah.
And I didn't want someone to have to say, well, if only you had this, if only you had that. And I wanted to be able to say, love it or hate it, like this is exactly what I wanted out of my brain. Right. And it's very much unlike most of the stuff I normally shoot. Normally I'm really kind of flamboyant with my camera work. And this movie is not that way. It is very measured.
Grounded. Yeah.
It's very measured.
For those who have not who are finding out about this movie for the first time, can you give us a quick synopsis?
Yeah. It is the mostly true tale of a man dealing with the sudden death of his estranged father. He travels to Eastern Kentucky and basically confronts a year's worth of abuse, and things get weird. Things get a little weird, which I always thought that because you go for about 60 minutes with things seeming kind of normal. There's a little bit of weirdness, but not a whole lot.
Yeah.
But then once the weirdness happens, it like goes off the rails for like 7 or 8 minutes. And even though that's like the coolest stuff in the movie, I never wanted to put any of that in any of the marketing materials because I felt like it's such a turn. I don't want to ruin that for anyone. And I don't want anyone going into the movie thinking the whole thing's going to be that way because then it'll be just disappointing. So yeah, I wanted to make something, and my wife was behind me and she stuck with it for 3 years because we shot 75% of it between March and December of 2019. And then I was supposed to go finish it up in March 17th of 2020. And the world shut down 2 days before, and we were shut down for a year.
Yeah. And I do want to say, like, I've seen it, and I think, like, my favorite parts is the grounded stuff. Like, my favorite scene in that is where you are on the bench. I forget if she's your sister or not.
No, she's my aunt. She's my aunt.
Your aunt. And you tell her that you tell your aunt that you're not going to pay for the funeral because of the emotional abuse and vitriol that you went through. And that is just incredibly a massively powerful scene. That's well acted and well directed.
That actually happened.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had dinner with my aunt and told her, and it kind of went down like that. The only difference was I cut out her husband and my sister both being there, but that's basically the conversation. The funny thing is, that's the second version of that scene.
Oh.
On the Blu-ray, there's actually another version. We shot it at a completely different location. It was inside of a coffee shop. It's one very shaky, continuous handheld shot that goes for me, and like it'll go over to her and then like down to our hands and stuff. And it keeps going back and forth. And like that one shot alone lasted like 7 minutes. And by the end, my DP's hands were like shaking. And we did like 3 takes of it.
Oh.
And I cut the whole thing together. But I liked it. Like that's what I wanted, because like the more you get into it, but we shot it and I cut it together, and I'm like, I like it. But it feels long, and it feels like there's too much dumping and it wasn't to the point enough.
Mhm. Mhm.
I rewrote it
Mhm.
and like cut it down by half.
Yeah.
And we shot it outside because we at that point COVID was still in effect and we couldn't get into the building to shoot.
Mm.
And it's probably everyone loves that scene, and it's probably my least favorite entire movie for two reasons.
Uh-huh.
And it has nothing to do with the actress in it because I think she's incredible, but I don't think I shot it well
Mhm.
at all.
Mm.
But we were limited because we shot it outside, but we shot it around Christmas, and everything behind us either had Christmas stuff or big Texas flags.
Ah.
And yeah, because even though the beginning of that scene, the exterior of the area is in Kentucky, the actual
Mhm.
scene is here in Texas.
Mhm.
And I had to shoot it over the shoulder like that.
Mhm.
And I don't think I did a good job of um placing the camera
Mhm.
because like for it's not a good angle for me because my fat just looks terrible on it. But I think the thing that pisses me off most about that scene,
Mhm.
we could not move that giant green metal trash can because it was bolted into.
Mm.
So right behind my head, you have a trash can, and it bothers me so much. It bothers me to a degree it shouldn't, because everyone says that's their favorite scene, and like it's probably my least favorite scene just for that one reason, for the trash can.
Mhm. So let me ask, because this is such a personal film for you, what motivated you to make this from such a personal story? And also, why did you choose to play yourself?
Um, the plan. Okay, well, I chose to make it from this point of view because
Mhm.
honestly, it hit me that way, right? Like
Mhm.
I wrote. There were actually three different drafts before I got to the one that I started to shoot with. The first draft.
Mhm.
The basically it's the entire as you see it, but it takes place in half the time.
Mhm.
And then I go see a character who's another who lives up on top of a mountain, and
Mhm.
he and I smoke weed together. And while
Mhm.
we're high, we a uh, a werewolf attacks the cabin, and the last half of the movie is a werewolf movie,
Mhm.
right? Which is why it was originally called Blue Moon.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, and I wrote that, and I'm like, I think Tarantino can pull that off,
Mhm.
with Dusk Till Dawn, where you have like the serious drama and then it goes wacky like that. Like, that's not working for this. So
Mhm.
then I wrote a version with my sister in it, and I got about
Mhm.
halfway through, and I'm like, this isn't. It's me to tell her. It's not for me to tell her story,
Mhm.
So I'll just tell my story, and she won't be in it.
Mhm.
So that's what I did, and I wasn't wanting to be in it. I was wanting a different actor for it,
Mhm.
and I had an actor in mind. But the problem was since like no one got paid on this really. Like a couple of
Mhm.
actors did, but my DP worked for 3 years on this for free.
Wow.
He is a solid dude.
Mhm.
Like I've known him since college. He went to college here and we worked at the same place together one summer.
Mhm.
And this dude, he was just like, "Yeah, man, whenever you need me." Like the shot of my mom answering the phone
Mhm.
in her garden, he actually shot with his mother right before they ate Thanksgiving dinner.
Wow.
I wasn't even there.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. We house, you know, um, to Kentucky with me. And I knew that since that's how we were gonna do it, we weren't gonna be able to block off that much time, and
Mhm.
we were gonna have to take a trip. Um, I was gonna need someone that I could at random times, right?
You could count
And
on at random times. Okay.
yeah,
Yeah.
and this actor, like, it was too much, and and I didn't know who I was gonna get, and a producer friend of mine who actually plays the coroner,
Mm.
um, I had edited him and shot part of a movie that he produced, and
Mhm.
he said, "Dude, you do it." I said, "No one wants to see a fat guy. Like, no
Mhm.
one watches fat guys." And he goes, "Hey, John Candy, you did drama." Oh shit, yeah, you're right there.
Mhm.
So I decided to do it, and it's funny because the day it came out on Apple TV, I took a picture and I've got it on my computer somewhere. On Apple TV shows my movie, and then below it says, if you liked this, you'll also like The Whale and The Fablemans. I'm like, okay, that tracks. That tracks. But yeah, I figured, I do have the acting background,
Yeah.
so I know how to act. Like, it's not going to be hard for me. And I knew that since we were working on such a short schedule, like everything with a preacher, 17 pages, shot in 5.5 hours.
Whoa. And for those who are unaware, most coverage is, 3 to 10 pages a day, but that's a huge amount. That's a huge amount.
The first scene where he talks for 4.5 straight minutes, one take. It's the only take we have of it.
Wow.
One unbroken take. And he had COVID before anyone knew what COVID was. This was in late December of 2019, and he came in from LA sick, and then I got sick. So I knew that since we were gonna have such a limited amount of time, getting somebody into the headspace that they needed to be in to have an intimate knowledge of why the character had to react a certain way. It was going to take more time than what I had. And I figured no one else knows this story better than me because it's my story. And if I can do it, I should do it. So we didn't do any tests or anything. I just said, hey, I think I'm going to be in it, which was tough for me because no matter what I'm directing, I'm always manning a camera. Always.
Right.
And this is the first time I've ever directed something and not been behind a camera, which was not, it took a long time for me to get comfortable with it. And as comfortable with my DP, and as much as I trust him, it was still really tough for me not to be, right by the camera or manning a second camera. It was really tough.
Yeah. And we won't give away the ending because yeah. But it's pretty intense. It's crazy. So,
after the first public screening, I had never seen it in a theater before until its first screening. And I went to go talk, up at the front afterwards. And the second it was done, I stood up and I turned to the audience and I went, I'm sorry. Like that's a lot. Because like the movie starts where it's like, oh my God, the tone is like, this is intense.
Yeah.
And it never lets up. And it just gets more and more so. And even though I had seen it several times on a large TV, I wasn't in a theater with the surround sound. And I was like, oh my God, this, especially once you get to the weird stuff, it gets super intense and it still doesn't let up.
Yeah.
And then the ending had that little bit of catharsis, and like the end credits are only like 40 seconds long, and it's like, what just happened? It's a lot to process. And, if the movie had gone on a minute longer, it would have been too much. This is also a big learning lesson in tone and pacing. Very much so in tone and pacing.
And on that note, I was going to ask, what lessons did you get from this film that you're going to continue forward in your career?
Have a distribution plan in place, have a marketing plan in place, have money for marketing, and don't do everything yourself. Because I wrote this, I directed it, I produced it, I starred in it, edited it, I did the color, did all of the effects except for one shot, and even that I composited it. I had someone else roto one thing. And quick, take a guess. How many effect shots do you think are in this?
Oh, I'm always bad at this. I'm always bad. 200.
220.
Son of a bitch.
Every shot of the car has a digital license plate. Every single shot of the car has a digital license plate. So like the scene at the beginning where I closed the car door, that's all digital. And then the camera, it's on a gimbal, but it comes in and I hug my kids, hug my wife, and it goes across my wife's face. For 2 frames, she looked into the camera. So I had to digitally fix her eyes. Okay. The scene where there's a lot of me, we'll say it that way, towards the end. Well, that scene and then 2 others were shot a week after I had been outside shooting all day and I had a sunburn and it was peeling. So in those scenes, so there are 3 scenes, my forehead is rotoscoped for the entire scene.
Wow.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
So I even did the captions myself.
Uh-huh.
Because at that point I had to buy a new computer because the other one caught fire in my living room.
Mm-hmm.
And I was so spending money and I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna I'll sit down for a day and I'll do the captions myself.
Mm-hmm.
I've done it. So I did everything myself. I don't ever want to do that again.
Mm-hmm.
I did most of the music. I did probably about half of the sound mixing
Mm-hmm.
because my buddy, my DP, he got really busy. Like he got
Mhm.
super, and he was just like, I can do these like 8, 9 scenes, and
Mhm.
he did a great job. And I had to finish up the rest. No big, but my buddy John contributed some music, and I gotta say, I gotta give a shout out to you remember Jesse Sanchez from USC?
Vaguely.
Okay, so he saw the movie
Mhm.
after first premiere, after its
Mhm.
premiere. But before it went to other festivals, he saw it and he's like, "Hey, I really like it, but there's this one piece of music in the weird stuff." He's like,
Mhm.
towards the end,
Mhm.
it sounds a little too major. I think you need a minor key. He's like, I wrote something when I was at SC, and I think you can use.
Yeah.
And he sent me a piece of music, and it works perfectly, and he let me use it. So,
Mhm.
but I probably wrote 20, 25 minutes of music for the movie, performed it.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm just I did so much of this. I never want to do that again.
And
Also,
uh-huh.
I don't use my own money going forward.
Yeah. Yeah. I gotta say that so similar to your own story, I actually did USC summer production workshop when I was 17. I just came out and did a 5-week course here. The first lesson, the very first thing Don Zerpola, the teacher of that class, said was, "Don't use your own money." That's
Yeah.
and
I'd read from Spielberg saying that, and it's like it was the only way to get this made, unfortunately.
yeah. And also to kind of discuss what we talked about in our catch-up call last week, like, you know, to what you said, like, don't go in without a distribution plan or a marketing plan. Like it's a rough uphill battle if you
It
don't have
is.
that stuff. Mhm.
The problem is getting people to go to that link, you know, get to actually take their time, especially people who are used to watching things as it just comes to them on
Mhm.
TikTok, you
Mhm.
know? To get people to go somewhere and watch something is really tough,
Yeah.
And then to say, "Hey, share this,"
Mhm.
that's even tougher,
Yeah.
So next time I definitely gotta get a name
Mhm.
because right now saying, "Hey, you wanna watch a fat sad boy cry?" You don't know who it is. You don't know anybody in this movie. You can say it's good all day. It doesn't matter.
What do you got to work on your pitch?
Yeah. We got the best audience reaction from the Albuquerque Sci-Fi Film Festival last year,
Mhm.
which was amazing.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's I just wish more people would see it, but I'm glad for the reviews I've gotten so far.
Nice. And anybody who wants to support independent film can find it on Apple. They can find it on most major purchase platforms,
Apple,
Amazon.
Amazon, Tubi, it's on Plex even. I found it on
Yeah.
Plex today. So yeah,
And
it's
even
on a
if you
bunch of
don't
places.
like it, put it on Tubi and just let it play. That's
Please. Please.
gotta get
Please. And you know what? If you
commercial
don't like
revenue.
it, still give it a rating. Right now, if you go to Plex, it says it has a 9.2 on IMDb.
Mhm.
That's fantastic, but that's also because we don't have a ton of reviews.
Mhm.
I don't mind if it goes lower. I want an honest score. I just want to know people are seeing it.
Yeah.
Because I had someone watch it who said that it moved them so much they reconnected with their estranged father.
Whoa. Whoa.
That's a win.
Yeah.
That's a win.
And that is Season 3, Episode 6 of the Producers Lounge podcast. Thank you to my guest, Matthew Alson Thornbury, for joining us. You can find out more about him by checking out the show notes, including a number of platforms where you can watch the film Blue Moon for free with ads. In fact, I don't ever say this, but Matt's a good friend, so just go to the links, press play on the film, and let it watch overnight with your computer on mute. It costs you nothing and will send a few shekels Matt's way. Our intro and outro music today was Bass Walker by Kevin MacLeod. Our episode still image is provided by Matthew Alson Thornbury. We'd love to hear from you, and you can check out this week's accompanying article on greaterandgrander.com entitled How to Be a Decent Work Human in the Film Industry. Link in the show notes. You can stay up to date by following us on YouTube and social media at the handle Greater Grander, all one word. Make sure to subscribe on YouTube or wherever fine podcasts are found. And also, if you like what we do, share this podcast with a friend who you think will enjoy it. Join us next week for more cocktails and questions, and until then, keep producing dreams.